cracking the code. You know, traders spend an enormous amount of time, energy, and effort in organizing themselves to be able to trade well, to be able to understand probability, to be able to understand risk and reward. Yet, have you ever noticed that when you actually get down to the thick of it, it all flies out the face? You can be just a really cool cucumber at one moment in time, have everything together, and then all of a sudden risk, when it's real, suddenly something happens and everything is gone. The rational mind's gone. The person who can actually manage this probability management stuff is all gone. What has happened? The truth is that you have two brains in direct opposition with one another when trading. And because of, to be honest with you, trader ignorance, is you don't recognize how important the emotional brain is, the amygdala, the limbic system, and its impact over thinking. We think, okay, we're just going to get rid of emotion. You're not going to get rid of emotion. Understand, if you look at the brain as a triune brain, and you see the brain stem, which is often called the reptilian brain, and you recognize that's where your heart rate, that's where your blood pressure, that's where you're receiving signals all the time. When you see a reptile react, he's not reacting from emotion, he's reacting from brainstem. However, 65 million years ago, this really cool thing happened where mammals showed up with emotional brains. Suddenly that information was being fed into the limbic system, and that limbic system made these lightning fast decisions about threat. I want you to hear that. And it mobilized the entire system quickly, much more quickly than a reptile. That brain went on just fine till human beings and great apes started showing up and started producing a cerebral cortex. That's where our abstract thinking can come from. That's where all that really cool stuff that makes it human come from. But what's missing is the understanding of this emotional brain. Understand it. It's on automatic, friends. It's on program. It's on program. It's not on thinking. It's on program. Literally, the information from the brainstem comes into the emotional brain. Decisions are made, and all of a sudden, execution's done long before you start thinking about it. This is what happens to every one of you who have a hard time getting into trades, where you know the rules, you know that it fits criterion, you know that that is a trade, that's a valid trade, it meets trade criterion, but you don't get in it. Well, what happens is this survival brain of yours, this survival instinct of yours, has kept you out of danger from its perspective. It doesn't think. It takes in information, reacts long before thinking mind's ever there. Only you don't notice it. And that's the Achilles heel of the trading mind, is you don't notice all this stuff happening on automatic, seriously, subconsciously, out of working awareness, and it drills you every time. You don't realize that there are two brains in operation here. There's an emotional brain and there's a neocortex. The problem is that the neocortex really doesn't have much to say to this emotional brain that's working on reactivity. It sees danger. Understand, your emotional brain, completely in operation while you're trading, doesn't see opportunity. It's looking for danger. It's looking for safety. And the moment that you start producing situations that are unsafe, risking capital, what do you think's going to happen? It's going to be sitting there in the background. It's going to be taking feeds from your physiological self, and it's going to start acting with or without you. The vast majority of traders never understand that they're going to have to learn how to ameliorate, to lessen what in the world's going on with that emotional brain, so that a thinking brain, an emotional brain, kind of like harnessed, working with the thinking brain, can show up. This is the problem. And when you're trading, you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm a thinking brain, I'm a thinking brain. I've got my rules, I've got all this stuff, I'm under control. Then suddenly risk happens, and to understand, to the survival instinct, that's the kiss of death. It doesn't make the distinction between psychological discomfort, oh well, I'm experiencing uncertainty and I don't know what's going to happen, and biological threat of life. It doesn't understand it. Until you come to a moment of where you can separate the two, learn to calm the limbic system down and bring forward the thinking brain, you're going to be stuck in this cycle that traders find themselves in of they know how to trade. That's not the problem. They don't know how to psychologically trade. They don't know how to take the emotional brain, understand it as the survival instinct that it is and what it's built for, and to recognize that the moment that it sees threat, it's going to trigger from psychological discomfort to literally to fear, and all of a sudden there you are, you're out just absolutely nuts. That's the way it works. That's the way it works, friends. You're going to have to learn to say, how do I take that? How do I interrupt that? How do I bring it into working order? And how do I allow myself, in the midst of uncertainty, not to be triggered to that? I know that's the programming. I have to crack that programming. I have to create new programming that allows me to approach uncertainty very differently. Until you do that, your trading is going to be wishful thinking. Learn. You can do this. You can learn to regulate the emotional brain and its survival instinct taking over all thinking. You can learn how to put all this together and to have a very calm mind doing your trading. One that no longer is thinking or perceiving in terms of survival, but suddenly thinking in terms of probability. Do you want to learn how to do that? It's possible. Check out the website. Check out the materials. Start beginning to recognize this is not about some little thing off the shelf you're going to take and put in your brain and everything changes. This is going to require literally you learning how to retrain, how to reprogram programs that have been there for millennia, forever. You're going to have to do that so that your brain no longer sees threat to biological life when it sees uncertainty. That's not going to happen because you think it's a good idea. It's going to happen because you've redesigned the neural circuitry, the programming that faces uncertainty. Friends, if you want to learn how to do that, visit the website, look at our programs. It can be done, but it's going to take work. And it's not magical thinking. It's rewiring. It's reprogramming. That is the psychological edge that has to be brought to trading to fulfill the dreams of what trading can be. Thank you.